Everybody. Just setting things up. It's a little bit different in YouTube than it is in Facebook. So I'm just making sure I have everything going just right. And let me kind of get some of these lights so they're not like smacking me in the face. Okay. Today, it's all about the Sweet Citrus Bundle. And we saw it first in the January to April catalog, and now it has joined the Stampin' Up! Main catalog. And so it's nice that we have it for a while to stamp with. Plus, I mean, if you have it, you can stamp with it forever, right? But we'll be seeing a lot of samples with it. Hello, Sherry. It's awesome to have you here. And, you know, once we have one person on, I say, that's my cue to begin. And so we'll begin officially with, oh, and Eunice is here too. So we have two people. I see three people on the little diagram here, but I don't know who the third person is, but hello and welcome. And so with that, officially we can begin with good Thursday morning and welcome to Seeing Ink Spots. I'm Elizabeth Price and today is Technique Time. That's the big class of the month. And this is our focus where we're making pretty fancy cards and having a good time stamping together. Let's see, what else can I say? Not much. I say it's good to have you here. Oh, I know what I'll tell you. So I was hoping today I could be on Facebook Live where I'm a little bit more familiar with things and you're familiar with where to find things. But I am still in Facebook jail until about 1:30 today is what I can calculate. So I was hoping that it would be all over, but I will say, you know, you think, oh, they put you on restriction is what they say. You are on restriction for doing things that didn't meet with which I didn't do. It happened while I was hacked. Anyhow, yes, Sherry, it has been crazy. I agree. What I will say is positive about it is they put your account, they restrict it so you can't place ads, you can't go live. There's a bunch of things you can't do. I was lucky to still be able to post, but it makes it so that hackers can't do anything with your account either. So they kind of just maybe leave you alone and throw that out for a while and say, that's no good. I can't do anything there. So there might be a positive in it. Okay, enough jibber jabber. Let's get on with things. I'm gonna spin the camera around and we'll go over some upcoming classes and then we're gonna stamp. All right, sorry, there's the hand for you. And here we are. Now let's see here. I'm gonna move things down. Yeah, the hand is still here, sorry folks. I'm gonna move things down just a little bit. And get a good view here. Okay. See what we have, and I can pull this forward a little bit. Yada, yada. Not quite the way I want, sorry. We're gonna eke out a little further here. And then I'll zoom in. Okay, I also feel like I cleaned my lens. Sorry. You're getting all kinds of stuff here. Okay, so that looks good. And let me know if I need to move it back out. Right about there. Okay, all right, so moving right along. Next week on May 4th, we will have an Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin. This is all the little things. This is very beautiful. Let me just, the kit has so many gorgeous pieces in it. Here's a sneak peek of one alternative that I made, and I'll be teaching this one. So thank you, Sherry. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun class, May 4th. It'll be on my Seeing Ink Spots Facebook page. That's the public page. So I hope, we're gonna cross fingers here, that all is well and that we can return there. We'll see, right? And let's see, next up is the Use It Up class. And so Use It Up for June, I'm jumping ahead. Use It Up for May. We're gonna feature the Charming Sentiments bundle here. I'm gonna turn one more light on. Maybe I'm not. Okay, so Charming Sentiments. So this bundle, it does have a die cut set that cuts all these out. It's really cool. So I'm gonna give you some tips on this, on how to work this, and I think you're gonna love it. And I will show you what I'm pairing it with in just a few minutes here, but that will be our Use It Up class. So pull out your Charming Sentiments and some DSP and we'll have some fun together, or you may have earned that class, and I'll show that to you in just a bit here. Moving right along, we have Technique Time in May is going to be a week early. And so Technique Time in May is going to be the Legendary Ride bundle. And it's just in time for the men in our lives. So the reason it's a week early is Newell and I are going on a cruise the last week of May. So I've moved this class up a little bit. So registration will be by the 12th of May, and it'll be, our live will be on the 18th and our Zoom session on the 19th. So that's gonna be fun. What's gonna be fun about this class is I'm calling this a double take. And so it's a double take on the Legendary Ride bundle. We're gonna do for him and for her. So, and you'll have the supplies to do both. So that's gonna be a fun class. And like I say, it's gonna be the Legendary Ride. And I'm gonna be using the metal plate 3D embossing folder. It looks like diamond plate. And of course, the fabulous dies as well. So that's coming up. I think you'll enjoy that one. I'm gonna enjoy it because I already know what I have planned. I'll give you some sneak peeks in a little while. But here's what's coming up in June. June, we are, because I'm going on that cruise the last week of May, I won't be back the first week of June, but because there are 5 weeks in June, I'm just moving things out a week. So my Upstyle class for the Exploring in Color kit will be on June 8th, okay? Use It Up will be June 15th, and I'm going to feature the Countryside Corners. And this is a cool little suite. First off, the paper in it is fabulous. It's a huge, it's a set of blues, all the blues you can think of, the blue colors that we have in the Stampin' Up! Family. But, and there's some fun, I'll show you some of the paper in just a little bit here, but excuse me. There is a single stamp. I'm gonna show you the ins and outs of using this and how to combine it with these fabulous dies, okay? And there is an embossing folder that matches the DSP. So that's coming up June 15th. Just kind of letting you know what's coming, what's in the lineup here. And then pickup class for June. I thought it would be fun. Many of us have the Pansy Patch because I did a studio, this was my very first Studio Ink Spots stamp camp. Many of us have this set and I haven't had it out since that camp. So it's time to re-ink it and use it again. So we're gonna look at the Pansy Patch bundle again. And my favorite class coming in June will be Technique Time. It'll be the last few days of June. And I'm gonna feature the Timeless Arrangements bundle. You guys, I have made several things with this. A couple I'm gonna show you right now and several I can't show you. But this is a super, super, super cool set. The bundle is so fun. So let me show you. First off, I have a fun, this is it's a shaker card. I'm like, it's not a pop-up, but it's a shaker card. And this one features the Countryside Bouquet. Is that the name of it? Countryside Corners? I'm not quite sure what the name of the paper is, but I've got the papers there. But then my stamping has been with the Timeless Arrangements. Okay, so what's fun about it is you have the different flowers and berries and leaves, but then you have die cuts that fit right in there. So, and this card opens up and it's a fun little shaker card here. Okay, there are those papers again. So what's fun are these animals are hiding in these papers. There's a little fox in some of them and the rabbit. And so there's one sample using the Charming Bouquet, and it looks like my sequins are falling out of my shaker here. Need to get a better seal on it. And I have one more card using that Timeless Arrangements. So look how pretty. These are designed, the dies are designed. Let me just pull one out here for you. They're fun because they're cut. They have this little edge on them, but what's cool about it is it's fun to, it's just set that in and behind. So I don't know how to go back to the comments here. Okay, I don't want to touch that button. So Sherry, you just made a comment and I couldn't quite see it in time. In Facebook, they stay there until another comment comes in and kind of moves it out of the way. In YouTube, it's only up for like 10 seconds and then it fades away. So anyhow, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun class. So that's what's coming up. Now let's get into what we're here for today. And that is our Sweet Citrus class. And so here's my bundle here of classes. So if you had a purchase on the host code this month, you earned the Sweet Citrus bundle for free, along with the Use It Up class for May. And so this is where we're going to be featuring the Charming Sentiments bundle. But I wanted you to see, of course, this isn't a great piece of it. I am pairing it with, and I'll just pull this out. I'm using up my Fancy Flora DSP. So your kit will have several of these samples. So that's what I'm using up in May, paper-wise. And I'm going to focus on those Charming Sentiments. Okay, so there's that kit. The only way to get this kit is with a $75 purchase. It'll tack in with your Technique time automatically, and that'll ship to you for free. So purchase on that host code and join me that way. Or just join me and bring your own supplies. Ha ha. Okay, so here is our bundle for today. So we'll just pull out all these bits and pieces here. Okay, let's see here. As always, we have a smalls bag that has all of your little pieces in it. And I should say that what I'm doing is I've paired this class with the Enjoy the Journey DSP, or the Greatest Journey. No, it's Enjoy the Journey. I have to remember, the difference between the names of the paper and then the bundle. So yeah, this is the Enjoy the Journey DSP. You could have earned it for free during celebration, or you might have purchased it. I actually had 3 packs of this stuff and went through it between the different things that I did with it. So we're using that because I felt that it really had kind of a citrusy, it fit the vibe, right? So we're using that up. I'm also using up some of the fine shimmer paper. So this is in the catalog now, the January to April. I'm not sure if there's any left, but it's cardstock weight. That's what's really cool about it. And so it came in soft succulent, gold, and fresh freesia. So you've seen this before, especially if you took my stamp camp. And then here's the stack of our pre-cut cardstocks and everything we need. So let's begin with what we need for our first project. For our first project, I'm just going to hold this aside for a minute. We'll get to that. But let's grab everything from Bermuda Bay up, okay? So you have Bermuda Bay, you have a Melon Mambo, you have a couple white, and you have a large die here, a die cut, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. So I'm going to pull these out of the way. And let's see, also for this card, we're going to need this piece here. And let's see, what else do we need for this card? I'm trying to remember. Might have to see them from the back. Oh, this one right here. We're going to need that. All right, so those are the pieces that we need for this card. So it's kind of a chevron Melon Mambo, okay, a herringbone chevron, the succulent shimmer, and then these pieces here. So this die right here, I mentioned it earlier in the month in another class, but these are the Nested Essentials dies. And these will be available starting May 2nd. I was lucky enough to receive them in an artisan box. And so I've had the opportunity to play with them a little bit. So this is actually this middle version of this hexagon right here. And you're gonna see all three of the shapes, but all three of the shapes have a different sort of stitching. And so it's kind of fun. But this is kind of out on my desk right now, right next to stylish shapes. I can't seem to put stylish shapes away, and I feel this will probably do the same thing. But that's where this die cut came from. And so let's see, let's begin with a little bit of prepping. No, we're gonna begin with some stamping because I wanna have some time for things to dry to be able to go on to another step. Okay, so our first little bit of stamping, we're gonna dive right into this large piece right here. And we're going to need Early Espresso and Garden Green for right now. And I'm gonna bring in just a piece of scratch paper so that I keep this surface a little tidier for the video here. Okay, so on our piece of, and this is just a piece, it's a quarter sheet, so it's 4.25 by 5.5. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to ink up the half of this image with the Early Espresso and the other half, the lime and the half lime, with the Garden Green, okay? And we are making, you've seen the pictures hopefully, we are making the coconuts. We've got the lime and the coconuts, or the lime and the coconuts. And I was so glad when Tammy Hewlett showed us this about a year ago at Creativity Now. No, she did Creativity Now, and then she did, oh, I can't remember. Anyway, so we saw her do this. It wasn't at that, it was at it was at an onstage event. But anyhow, and she made the gorgeous coconuts card. And, you know, I saw that immediately too. And Sherry says, I'm glad you're making coconuts. I've been wanting to try it. Yeah, so here's my spin. Hers had little hairs on it, but I just wanted to be able to die cut them pretty quick. But I also see in this stamp set, let me see if you guys, well, they don't show it this way in the catalog. Oh, they do when you open this, when you're storing your stamps here, that you put this single flower right there in that citrus. And to me, I see a sand dollar. So it's interesting, some of the things we see. And of course, rabbit ears. We see all kinds of rabbit ears everywhere. Anyhow, so yes, that's what we're gonna do. So a little coconut and the lime action. But I want our little bit of watercoloring to dry so that we can stamp that greeting in there. So that's why we're gonna do it first. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the green because the green is actually lighter than my brown. And I just juiced up this pad so it's really, really dark. In my samples, it wasn't re-inked. So if you're seeing a difference, that's why. Okay, and I'm trying not to hit my coconut over here. Okay, so I've got my green on, and I may have to do a little bit of pouncing on that with a blending brush. And the nice thing about this is it's, you know, there's enough gap there that I can really ink these up. And if I get a little brown on the lime, that's okay, it's natural. Okay, so there is my Early Espresso, and I've got a funny little mark happening right there. So I could either fix it with my ink pad, or I could come in with my blending brush, and I'm just gonna tap that a little bit to move that ink around. Maybe even lighten it just a little bit. But just do a little blending action. Let me throw a little right in here. Okay. Okay, there we go. We'll hope for the best. I'll give it a little huff on that because it's been a while. And I want you to stamp this way, way, way over to the side. Okay. Giving it a good push. It's a pretty big stamp. Lovely. Now, I can see here in the video, or in my camera, that you don't really see the difference. So I'm gonna bring this up. So there is the brown, there is the green. I told you, I really inked that up, and so my Garden Green is looking like Evening Evergreen. Okay, so now, next is this stamp here. And I wanna talk about this stamp a little bit here. Come on, move. It's stuck on the paper. So this stamp here, Let me tell you about this one. This one's designed to sit right inside there. You're like, what the heck? She cut hers apart. Yes, I did. So I took my Stampin' Scissors, the ones that we used to have, the snips, the one with the short blade and the big handle that we used to carry when we would have to mount all of our stamps back in the days. And I cut this apart and I made two very clean cuts. And I kept this little tabby here so that, let me put it on the block here, so that I can easily put it back together, right? But I was noticing yesterday when I was stamping with this, it wasn't lining up with my stamp, with this stamp very well. And it's because I had put it on and I was slightly distorted. So take your image, this one here, and just set it down on your piece of paper and bring your block in and pick it up with your block. Because now it has, I haven't distorted it at all. I haven't twisted it out of shape. And now with this one, I am just simply gonna put the puzzle pieces back together. Okay, so there's that. And let me see, I didn't quite land it just, you gotta get it just right. Okay, there it is. So Eunice, if you're watching, you're gonna need to take my mom's stamp and give it a cut, just one simple cut there and one simple cut right there, okay? For those who are gonna porch stamp. Now, I'm going to ink up just this image. So here we're not even gonna, I'm ahead of myself. This is for the next card. This one, I want it separate. Oh, Eunice, you're fabulous. She says, got it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my, ooh, this block is really dirty. I'm gonna put my lime, it's a lime for right now, but I'm gonna put the juicy, the fruit part on a single block. And I'm gonna ink up in Bermuda Bay. So there's Bermuda Bay, and then I'm gonna tap on just a little bit of the garden green with my blending brush. Just a little, just to mix it up and make my own custom color. Have some fun with it. Okay, so I'm going to set that right in there and stamp that. So it's kind of a nice dark lime. And the nice thing is the colors do lighten up over time once they start to dry. So that's some of the stamping that we need to do. Now let's do a little bit more because I do need to have another lime, another one of these. Okay, so we're gonna stamp that part one more time. Let's see, where's my big image? Here's my big image. I'm gonna clean this just because I'm gonna just kind of selectively ink up a part of this image. I'm just gonna ink up this part, so we just need that one lime. And I think what I'll do is, just to make it real easy, so I don't have to like struggle, I'm gonna go ahead and just mask all this off with some Post-it notes. So speaking of Post-it notes, I bought something yesterday on Amazon, or maybe I bought it a couple days ago. I bought the Post-it note tape that everybody's been talking about. So I'm excited to try that. Okay, so my stamp's a little wet, so it's having a hard time holding on to the Post-it notes. But I'm gonna ink up just the little, I'm gonna call it the half. Okay, so ink that up, pull these off and get rid of them because they are dirty. And I'm gonna stamp this, just kind of, get yourself in a spot. I think I'm gonna come way over here, like so. You're like, what is she doing? I'm trying to get it in the best spot so that I get maximum use, because I still have quite a bit more stamping I have to do on this piece of paper. Okay, that's kind of why I knew sometimes when you, the stamps are dry, they kind of, see how it kind of pulled up the paper right there? That's why I was twisting, trying to not get it. Does anybody else have that issue? Okay, so there's that. And we'll add this little lime right here. Awesome. Okay, so that stamping is done for now. And now I want to stamp some leaves. So we have the leaf image. Let me grab, I pulled the block apart for the lime. So here's the leaf image. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna ink up in Bermuda Bay. And I'm gonna stamp off. And I'm going to pounce a little bit of the green in there, the garden green. Give a huff on that. And then just kind of, we're gonna fill in this paper. We have a lot to stamp here. So there's one leaf, and look at that. We've got some fun kind of mixed color there. And I'm gonna do it again, only this time I'm gonna ink up in the garden green, and I'm gonna lightly just stamp off. So see, I've done this before where I just kind of take some of the ink off just so that I can kind of get a different look. So the leaves aren't all 100% exactly the same. See how it's a little lighter on those edges? And then I'm gonna huff on this and we'll stamp this as well one more time. So we have some leaves and they each have kind of a little bit of a different look, but that makes it fun. And now let's do a little bit more stamping here. I have my stamps all over the place. Let me do a little, just before I lose my lime wedge. I want the flower, this trio image here. And we're gonna stamp this in Blushing Bride. Let's see, where's my Blushing Bride? Sad this color is leaving, and I know many people don't like it. They're like, it's too brown. That's, to me, what I think makes it so pretty. Okay, so we are going to stamp this. We're gonna try and get 4 on here. So we have, let's see, trying to see where it's gonna fit the best. We'll sneak 1 up in here. 1. And I have been able to do this. I guess I didn't totally set myself up the exact same way. That's okay. 2. And you might have to do something like this. And so you might get 2 of them on here. Or 1. Anyhow, you want yourself a bunch of these flowers. So I'm gonna need a couple more, but as I kind of cut my paper around, I can pick up a couple more. Anyways, get yourself 4 sets. And I think what I did is I did the leaves up here. I don't know, I can show you a picture of how I do fit it all on, but you know, stage fright. Okay, once you have those, now there's a couple little stamps in here. We are using every stamp in the set. So there is a little teeny tiny center for your flowers, and then there's a double. Okay, so the eyes, you got the single eye and the double eye. I'm gonna take the double eye, tap it in my garden green, and this double little circles, these fit right into the centers of those flowers. And then here's the large. So go through and, oh, you know what? Shoot, Queen. Yeah, no, this is the set that has them. Nope, I'm doing the wrong one. Oh, drats. Okay, I'm looking in the wrong pile of stuff. Okay, so these are not supposed to have the centers stamped in them. Oh well, we're gonna go for it now. We'll just do it a little bit different. So the flowers for this card were supposed to be just left so that there was nothing in the centers, but we're flying by the seat of our pants. And for this card, now I know why 4 sets didn't fit on, is because you only need 2 sets. Okay, she's losing it. Okay, you get the idea. Get yourself 2 sets of flowers. I thought, why isn't this fitting? I know it fitted on last night. Okay, I'm just closing up pads so that I don't have a mess here. And what I want to do next is we're going to cut these apart. And I know you're going to say, what? Why are we cutting them apart? Well, we're cutting them apart because the two that are gonna make our coconuts here, we're gonna watercolor these and then we'll die cut them, okay? These are all gonna need to be on a separate thing, so I can just kind of come around and get these cut out. Okay, and now the ones that are gonna go through the, so these are gonna get die cut. That's easy enough, folks. You know how to do that. So you take your dies, and I have mine done ahead of time. We're gonna go through this one. We're gonna do that one for sure. But these are just normal. So the nice thing about these die cuts is that you do have two of the leaves, right? And it's like all these small dies, you have doubles of everything, which makes it really nice. So, and then you're gonna die cut these out, right? So easy enough. That we are all die cutting pros. And you may already be a pro using this particular stamp set. I have mine die cut just for time's sake. But what I want to do before we actually die cut all of these out, oh man, I just put my hand in my blending brush. Now I look like I have a big old bruise. Nice. I am a mess. Okay, these are gonna go through the die cut and the folder at the same time. And we're gonna do that in just a second. So we'll set these aside and get ready. These we're already die cutting. And before we do all that, I want to paint these. And we're gonna paint these with an aqua painter. And I'm going to use crumb cake and just a tiny little bit of Pool Party. Just a teeny tiny little bit of Pool Party. Because if you look in here, you can see that there's just a little bit of a blue hue in there. And the reason I chose blue was because I had so much Bermuda Bay, and that has a very blue-based, it's a blue-based green. So give yourself, you know, that's plenty of ink there, and give yourself a squeeze on your crumb cake. And I have a cup of water here. My aqua painters, if you've used white ink in them, they start to not work as great. And I like these older aqua painters. I prefer these to the new ones. And I also have just a towel here. Okay, and I'll move some of this out of the way. The first thing I'm gonna do is just paint a circle of water. And you're like, where is she painting the circle of water? So you might not see it, but you will start to see it now as I just kind of dip my brush in there. Okay. And let the water do the action here for you. Okay, that might be a little too much, so just kind of blot some of that out. But you know, you can always add more. A little bit trickier to take it away. Now this is basic white cardstock, and so you can't totally do what you can with shimmer white, and we will use some shimmer white on our next card here, or with, you know, what you can do with watercolor paper. But for something this small, you'll survive. You'll be able to handle it. So now I'm gonna take a little bit of that Pool Party and just start to bring in a little bit more color. And it starts to add depth, and I don't even, you know, it's amazing how it does it, but just kind of add some of that color here and there. And I'll pull this up so you can see. So just have some fun. And then maybe if you want a little bit more, it's like, well, I just kind of want to maybe make it just a little darker on this edge, whatever you'd like to do. Okay, I'm gonna go back to just plain water, kind of rinse out my aqua painter here. And I'll do the exact same thing on this one. So I'm just kind of painting an ellipse here. Fill that in. Now I'm gonna fill it in, kind of let the crumb cake do its work here, it mixed in with the water. And add a little bit of Pool Party here and there. You know, it's the same thing with blends. When you start to bring in So you have the light and the dark of one color, but when you bring in a second color, it really starts to make things a little bit more natural looking. Okay, so there are my coconuts. Not too bad. Okay, we're done with crumb cake and pool party for now. So we're gonna set those aside to dry because we don't wanna die cut these while this is still wet. Okay, so let those dry. But now, since we're mentioning die cutting, let's talk about some die cutting here. So, and how to work this hybrid folder the best way we can. So the first thing to know is you're not gonna use your clear cutting plates. You're gonna use plate number 1 or your multi-purpose platform if you're still working with a Big Shot. So you're gonna need that plate. You're also gonna need plate number 4. If you're working with a Big Shot, you're gonna need the blue plate, okay? And it's a little bit thicker, so that's why you need that blue plate. This is the sandwich you're gonna need. So 1 3D folder, 3D embossing hybrid folder, and then 4. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Logo side up, you're gonna open up your hybrid embossing folder. Now take this die here, and I want you to turn it over to where the blades are up, and you're going to situate it right on top of the lemon, you know, kind of get that, just feel it. You'll feel it click into place. Now, since these are smaller, it's a little bit trickier, but I'll be showing you. It's a little easier with a full piece, but this is what you're gonna do, is you're gonna take your paper now, holding your dies in place with your fingers. It's not hard. You might feel a little bit like you've got a couple thumbs, but I mean, well, you do have a couple thumbs, but all thumbs. But just center your pieces to your liking, hold those in place, and then shut your folder. Now, it's important that when you put your folder through, and we're gonna break this rule twice today, but be sure that your folded edge is going in first. We're gonna do a couple sideways today too, but so long as you're super careful and you're watching your edges, you'll be fine. So just kind of hold your sandwich in there and run this through the Big Shot or your Stamp and Cut Emboss machine. All the noises. And there you have it. Look at this. How cool are these? And what is so fun is I think this actually kind of starts to get a juicy look to it. So, you know, I re-inked my Bermuda Bay from my original card too. So my ink colors are a lot more intense than they were originally on my first card. Okay, so there's that. Now you're gonna need to do the exact same thing. And that is, and let's just kind of go over it one more time. Logo side up, open. Blades up, lock this in place, right? Flip it over and align your little line there. It's almost easier with a bigger piece, but there you have it. And that you would run through and you'd have your lines. Okay, so let's see all of the pieces that you're going to need for this card. You're going to need your coconuts, your limes, and you should have 2 limes, right? And you should have 3 leaves. Let me find the leaves here. There's 1, 2, and 3. Okay? And you should also have 2 sets of flowers. And you can have your flowers have the green insides or not. My original, I didn't, but the ones I stamped today did have them. These don't. I could go ahead and put them on. It'd be kind of cute. But they're going to get kind of covered up. But let's go ahead and do them just so that we're the same. Even though we're going to be a little different from their picture, we're going to do them anyway. Okay, so real fast here. I'm going to stamp the centers, just so that I'm with you guys. Whoops, I did them in green, right? Because that's the color they are on another card. Okay, so I'm just moving these up to here real fast, maybe. Okay, get up on here. And the reason I'm putting it on the scratch paper is because because they're stamped, they're cut apart. Now the little duo piece here, that whole business isn't gonna work, but anyhow, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll do the big one right there and there. Okay, so now we're on the same page. A little different from the photo, but that's okay. Voila, there's that. So we have those elements for the front of our card. And let's see, we need a few other things. We're gonna die cut this. Nope, not quite ready. Not quite ready to die cut that. Let's go ahead and let's start working on our papers. So here are the papers for our card. I'm gonna shut this ink pad before I have a problem. It's a stiff pad. This piece here. Okay, so this piece here, we're going to cut this piece down. So bring your trimmer in. And it's my piece, or the piece in your kit, is 4 inches by 6. And we want this to be 4 by 5 1/4. So we'll just take some of that off, right? So now this piece is ready for our card front. This piece here, let's trim this down to, we're going to trim it down to 3 1/2. So let's make it 3 1/2 inches. And then, so that's trash. Then let's make it a 1/2 inch wide. You could keep it at 3/4, but my original is a 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch wide, there's that. So that's ready. We have just a tad bit more prepping to do before we start to assemble everything. And that is this piece here. We are going to die cut some leaves. And what I want you to do is die cut, whoops, let's get the leaves. And the nice thing is we can do this in one fell swoop. Go ahead and die cut yourself 2 sets of leaves. Okay, we're not stamping them or anything, because I did stamp them and then it just kind of fades and you don't see it. So, of course, that was when my Bermuda Bay, I stamped it with Bermuda Bay, and because I don't think you can see it in there. It's just not really showing up. But I did it before I re-inked my pad, so maybe now it would show up even more. But we're just gonna do them without. You choose. Okay, so you have 2 sets of leaves. That you can save and use on another project if you'd like. But I'm gonna set my dies aside so I don't lose them. Okay, so that's ready. Our DSP is ready, this piece here. So this piece here, we are going to do a little splattering on. And I'm going to splatter with, I'm going to use polished pink, because I don't have Melon Mambo in a blend. I don't even know, do they make Melon Mambo in a blend? But I'm just giving this a little bit of a splatter with some pink and with Bermuda Bay. And you can use light or dark, it doesn't matter. But we're just kind of creating a fun little piece of paper here. And so I'll pull this up so you can see it. But I think I want just a little bit more Bermuda Bay. So that was Bermuda Bay Light. No, that was Pool Party. Here's Bermuda Bay. Okay, so I really have it nice and filled out, but we're gonna cover a lot of it up. So that's ready. Okay, so I think we are this is still wet, crazy. Okay, I think I can die cut it, but I'm not going to, because we're gonna stamp that, but we'll stamp that last. Okay, so this one here, we're not going to use the embossing folder. We're just going to use the die. So remember, when you're just using the die, that you're not going to use the folder, the number 1 and the number 4 plate. You're going to use number 1 and 2 clear, okay? Because this is just normal old die cutting, okay? And so you're just going to kind of line up your die and run it through the machine. And so I need to do that right now because I don't have mine die cut. Okay. Just make sure your paper is, at least that it's not wet on the edges where it's cutting. So we should be okay, but we definitely can't stamp it just yet. Mine is too wet to stamp because on the larger, the round coconut, we're gonna stamp thanks a bunch. So Eunice, if you're still watching, you'll notice that in the stamp map that I created for you, that they're just brown. So they haven't been watercolored and they haven't been stamped in the center. But that's because I wanted them to see the video first. So hopefully that will make sense. Okay, so here we go. Now let's start to assemble all this madness here. Oh, nope, we're not ready to assemble just yet. We have one last piece of stuff that we're gonna do. So this is your Bermuda Bay card base. She's putting new words together. We're going to emboss. So let me bring the card in, the original. So thanks a bunch. What's fun about this card is when you open it up, it's a completely different color palette. So we're pulling in the Bermuda from here and we're really seeing it on the inside. But you'll notice that this panel here has been embossed. Okay, so what I want you to do is open up your card base and set your embossing folder logo side up. Okay, and it doesn't really matter where you put it, but just know that the embossing is going on the inside. So a lot of times we would want the embossing to be on this side, but we're reversing it. Now you're going to use your number 1 plate and your number 4, just like we did when we had the die cut in there, but it's the same sandwich. And we're gonna put this through, and I want you to line this up and be really careful because we know if you put this edge through like in the end, it can have a tendency to crack. So that's why we always say folded side first, but just be very careful that it is straight. Put your plate on top and now run it through the machine, being sure that everything is still straight so that you don't accidentally warp going through and crack your folder. Go that way, but it's actually going to flip inward. Okay, now we're making this a pocket. So grab your circle punch, any size will do, find center, and make that engagement notch, just like so. Put a pocket in everything, right? So there is that. We'll save the inside stamping for just a little bit later. So now let's start to assemble this. Okay, we have this piece here, and this piece here is going to lay on top. Okay, but don't just like go willy-nilly and glue it on. What I want you to do is to glue the one side. So we're gonna put, actually let's just put glue on this one. Let's be safe here. And we're gonna put glue on this side. Ah, I just unclogged it. The woes of living in a drier climate than San Jose. Okay, come up the side. That way there's access to this area and you can tuck in another piece of paper with more message if you have more to say, or money. That would be nice, right? Or a gift card. And I always say, or like back when I was young and my grandparents would send a birthday card, there was always a stick of gum, usually Wrigley's. All righty, there it is. So our card is starting to come to life. This here, this piece, we're gonna run this one through. Hey, we are going at full force here, folks. And we are using and making this citrus theme come to life. We're gonna run this one through the embossing folder. So this, we don't have extra paper hanging out. So let's just kind of go back to our rules, even though we broke it last time, and let's put that edge in first. So number 1 on the bottom, then your embossing folder, and then 4 on top. Okay, I think we now have things almost fully put together. So here is this piece. I love the way that the white starts to pop through on this. So fun. Okay, we'll just glue this on. This is going to center. Surprise, surprise. So just kind of classic layout there. Nothing wild and crazy. There is that. Next layer, let's take our hexagon here and we'll put dimensionals on the back of this. Look at this. A virgin sheet. Ah, gotta love it when you have a new sheet of dimensionals, right? So there's some dimensionals there. And this, we're gonna set this down. So if I were to kind of like divide everything into thirds, so thirds vertically and thirds horizontally, this is on the bottom third. Okay, so working with that rule of thirds. And this stretches and fits right across the card. Isn't that cool? I like when Stampin' Up! Gives us some clever measurements like that. All right, let's dive into our smalls bag here. And in your smalls bag, you have some fun little things there. First off, you have a couple pieces, and yours might be kind of, you know, depending on how they get cut up. You have some pastel adhesive back sequins. These are in both the new catalog and they were in the January to April. But what's fun about them is you have a sheet of large and a sheet of smalls. So we're going to be using those. Plus we have some Enjoy the Journey, the Baker's Twine combo. That was from that same set. Leave these in your bag. While I had some punches out, these are just bonus, you guys. I was using up the Enjoy the Journey paper. We didn't actually use these on any projects, but you can fluff those flowers and use them however you'd like. Like I say, using up the paper so that I didn't have all these extra things. This card is going to have a green, the Garden Green twine. And we're going to use all these right here. So these are from the Bow Punch. And again, these were punched from, you can see, they're the Enjoy the Journey DSP. Like I say, it was just using things up. I love that there is a new set coming out in the annual catalog that matches this punch. Okay, since I have the twine in my hand, let's just tie it in a bow. Get it ready to go. There we have it. And I hate when it twists like that. It's like, oh, come on. Kind of have to tell it who's boss. And right now, it's telling me it's boss. But I just kind of work with it a bit until I get it to behave. And if it doesn't, then I just retie it and hope for the best. But, okay. So, yeah, it's not behaving. So, yep. Sometimes I'll just kind of go through and run my fingers across it with my fingernail. Now look at that. It's behaving. Okay, should run it across my fingernail to begin with, right? Loosen this one just a little bit. Okay, so once that's in there, that'll be set to go. Now, is this dry enough? Yep, I think it's dry enough now. We're going to stamp Thanks a Bunch in Early Espresso. I have a tendency, I don't always do it, but a lot of the times my cards, I will use my darkest ink in the palette that I'm using for my cards for my greetings. Not always, but sometimes. I'm going to bend this just a little bit because it was curling. So just stamp that Thanks a Bunch right in the center. Make sure it's good and dry. Mine could almost be a little bit drier, but I'm risking it. So there's that. Now let's assemble our front here so that we have everything. We'll bring this into view. lots of stuff. Some of this stuff is going on the inside, but we are now finally prepped. And what I like to do is start with kind of my anchor elements. And for me, the anchor elements are the 2 coconuts in this. That's just kind of where I start when I start to put things together. So let's put a dimensional here and here. And we'll do a couple on the coconut as well. Okay. I'm actually going to move this down to here, because I knew it was going to hang off the edge. So I'm moving them down a little lower. So that way, there's that. And this guy. So I'll start with this one. This one is going to set there. And our thanks a bunch. It's off center just a little bit. We don't want it dead center, but it's kind of catching this dimensional is sitting on top of that. And so it was lopsided, and I don't want it to be lopsided. So that's why I just moved my dimensional over a little bit. Cute, cute, cute. Take one of your limes. Add that right about here. And another lime. These are I should say the cut lime, the wedge. Look, using up paper that had something on the back. Do you guys do that? This one tucks underneath, kind of comes right in here, and my dimensional is in the way. There's that. Now let's go for some of our leaves. And you can use any of your leaves wherever you'd like, but I think I'm going to switch to some mini dimensionals here for now. Oh, yep. Using up paper. Oh man, I pulled 3 at a time and they all stuck together. There's that. This slips in here like so. And we have another green leaf, or I should say stamped and die cut. This one's going to tuck right in there. Now let's go for some of our shimmer, using those up. We have 2 of these, and one is going to set there and the other one sets kind of downside in there like that. So same drill. I'm just going to use a mini kind of at the base and then tuck this away under. And this is actually under the white layer. Same deal on this one. It's under the white die cut. Just for dimension's sake. You do it however you like. Okay, now I'm going to take some of these, and these are a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of tear off that bottom leaf. I don't need quite so much. These I'm going to tuck in with a little bit of glue, and then the rest will just kind of hang off and create its own dimension. But this is just going to kind of come in right there. Add a little bit of greenery there, and you can kind of slide it around wherever you like. And then this one here, same thing. I'm going to cut some of that off. I just tore it. It's paper, DSP. I didn't even need to use scissors. A little bit of glue on the stem end. And this one is going to reach in and just kind of buddy up with this leaf over here. And then give it a press so that it engages somewhere inside there. And we have one last one, and it's going to go right here. This time I'm going to take off the bottom 2 sets of leaves. But you make your little grouping however you like. But just tuck that one. I've got a dimensional in the way right there. Keep going. There we go. Right in there like so. Now for some flowers. And before we do the flowers, let's take our green twine here. And I'm going to make this bow just a little bit bigger. And I'm going to tuck it under the coconut right in here. So it's going to lay, I'm just going to lift this up a little bit and just tuck that in there. Like so. Get the tails where you like them. And now I'll take a glue dot and just shove a glue dot in there to hold it in place. And so I'm using Paper Pumpkin glue dots here. You know my woes. They changed the way glue dots roll up on the thing, and that makes me crazy. Okay, well, let's do this. Let's just put that right on that knot and then shove it in there. It's not very nice. Let's shove it. Okay, there we have it. Little surgery there. And then just kind of give it a push so that it attaches itself. And I'm going to even up my tails here. So we'll have 1 and 1. And this one needs to go a little bit more. Usually I like to hold the ends up together so that they're even, but who says they have to be totally even? We're coming in to the the stretch here. All right, now the last thing, let's add the flowers to the front of this card. And so I'm gonna put a dimensional right there, kind of where the knot of the bow is. I didn't put it on my flower, more stamping on the back. I didn't put it on my flower because I didn't want it to be lopsided with the coconut. So I'm gonna give this just a little bit of a bend. So there's that flower. We have 2 more flowers. There's one hiding there and one in there, and these are both smalls. So we'll take these small little dudettes, and I'm gonna put minis on them. And we'll tuck them in. So this one's just kind of hiding right in here. Okay, you see that one right there? And this one is tucking down in here. There we go. Now these get painted with Wink of Stella, of course. Paint the flowers. Just paint those inside petals. I really like white paper painted with Wink of Stella. I think it's just kind of, it's a subtle look, but I really, really like it. And of course, just add a few little gems here by way of splatters. There's that. And let's look at our sequins here. So pastel backed sequins, and these are the light pink that we're gonna use on this card. And let's see where I have them. I'm like, I don't have them. That's the wrong card. Here's my original. Okay, so I have a large and a small and a large, and you could do more. I was being sparing. So let's tuck a large right in there, kind of underneath the lime, and another large. Let's just kind of come right in here. Well, I'm gonna go up here. My original has one here, but I just don't want it to be too side by side with this one. And then this one, I actually have on the top like that. This is why I didn't stamp the centers on these, is because it's just ultimately not going to show. So here are the littles. Another little one right there. But you put on as many as you want, or if you want to leave them as green centers, go for it. There's that. There's our front is finally finished, over an hour in. Okay, let's do this inside real fast. Let's do this flap real easy. We're going to take that strip of paper. This is going to be a long class. Okay, I think we should have been 3 1/4 instead of 3 1/2, but we'll trim that off, no problem. And we have a lime and a leaf. And so this is all going to go on with dimensionals. So 1 dimensional, and then I'll do my lime like so, the leaves. Oh, why do I keep getting like multiples at the same time. These are weird mini dimensionals. They're not like the mini dimensionals from the catalog. They're Paper Pumpkin mini dimensionals, so they're a little bit weird. And so this leaf tucking right there, and our last 2 flowers, you could do 2 or 3. I'm using 2. These are going to glue on because it's the inside. So add your flower there, and 1 more flower to the inside, like so. There's that. Okay, wink of Stella real quick on these leaves, the petals of the flowers. That's what I meant to say. And of course, let's give a little bit of splatter here to this panel. That'll be fun. And I'm just going to take a pair of snips here and just, so that should have been 1/2 by 3 1/4 instead of 3 1/2. So there's that. Last is our inside. So let's quickly look at the inside here. Here's our piece of paper, and I'm going to take my sequins and put them aside. But our piece of paper, this is 4 1/4 by 5. It's going to bow, so you're going to need to trim some off. So I usually take off 1/8 of an inch. So you should be more like 4 1/8 by 5 1/4. Let's see how this is going. Oh, I need to take off. Every time I have to take off just a little bit more. Okay, let's see now. Better. Okay, so real fast, we're gonna do just a little quick blending with our blending brush. So grab your Melon Mambo ink pad, Melon Mambo, and a blending brush for Melon Mambo. And we'll knock off that first layer that gets a little bit harsh. And now just gently, very gently, at kind of about the top 1/3, we're going to, my light just fell off. Just do a little bit of blending right around in here. I needed to offload a little bit more ink. I've got some highs and lows, but that's okay. So I'll make some highs and lows in other places. Okay, there's that. And we're going to stamp the trio image here of flowers. Shouldn't have shut Melon Mambo too soon. We're gonna stamp it twice. So I'll stamp this upper one kind of right up in here. And these are just framing our last little die cut that's gonna set inside here. So there's that. And garden green for the inside of these flowers. Nice. What Stampin' Up! Was nice of them to make those 2 images together for us. Okay, we are almost done stamping this. We have one last thing to stamp, and we're going to stamp our label here. So here's another one of these nested labels, and nesting essentials, that's what they're called, but it is a label. But look at the difference of the stitching on this is more of an even stitch, whereas the other one almost was like a rope stitch. If you compare the front, this one to that stitching. So it's kind of fun. This is going to say sending you a big squeeze in Early Espresso. Just again, going back to that color that's in the front and bringing it to the inside here. Sending you a big squeeze. Lovely, lovely, lovely. This will go on with dimensionals. Yep, we're putting dimensionals on the inside of the card. Why not? Ta-da. And then just kind of, let me get this out of the way so you can see. This, we'll just kind of center that. Cute. And then just a little bit more. Here's, you could pool party or Bermuda Bay. Oh, okay, well, there was a lot of splatter. My pool party was being really juicy. Really, really juicy. But do go ahead and just add a little bit of splatter here and there. And it just kind of, it softens the white. It makes it so it's not quite so, you know, harsh. I mean, sometimes I like the starkness of the white, but sometimes I really like it broken down. Years and years ago, we had Naturals Ivory and Naturals White, if anybody remembers those papers. And they had little flecks of stuff in the paper. Not the confetti, but the Naturals. The confetti was too big a fleck. But, okay, folks, with your last few pink, so you're gonna pull your pink ones in here. Your last few pink sequins, I mean, hey, use them up, folks. Just add them wherever you'd like. So maybe like one right in here. I'm gonna add 3. 1, and I'll do another one here, 2, and we'll do another one just wherever you want, like right up in here. Okay, and I have 2 more. You could add those to the front or wherever, but there you have it. Took us 1 hour and 11 minutes. Oh boy, the next 2 cards are even more. We might have to do this in 2 parts. Okay, so there you have it. There is our coconuts and lime card. You put the lime in the coconut. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, moving right along. I'm gonna start to move a little bit faster, just for time's sake. I'm gonna clean up some of these pads real fast that I know we're not gonna use. We're not gonna use Early Espresso or Melon Mambo. So we're gonna put these aside. Our next card, let's kind of get our stuff out we're gonna need. The next card is our So Saffron card. So we're saying goodbye to So Saffron, using it up. So paper-wise, you're gonna need your gold and this pumpkin pie, melon mambo, polished pink, whatever it is. You're gonna need that piece. And this piece here. And let's take everything from So Saffron up. Everything from So Saffron up will be for this card. Now, this card base, I just want to talk about it a little bit. It started out as a full sheet of So Saffron. Okay, and I've given you this piece. You use it, we're not going to use it on the card, but you know, if you want to use it to make a tag or something, there you go, because I was using up the So Saffron. So you can see what I did is I started out by scoring it in half vertically and then in half horizontally, and then I cut out just the center, okay? So now your card, I actually folded it because I didn't want to fold it inward, even though this is going to fold inward. It was folded back, but I didn't do that because what I need you to do, it won't fold back because it's not going to fit right now. If you go to fold this in, it's going to buckle and do all kinds of weird things. So in order to get that to lay flat, you're going to, so I have folded the top over. So this is the top of the fold over of the card. This one is correct. Open it up. This one has been folding back. So open it up so that you're like a backwards L. And we're going to, I'm going to put this, whoops. I'm pulling out as far as I can. So I have my card base here. I have, you can't quite see, but I'm putting it all the way against this bottom end. Okay. So all the way against that bottom end. And I want you to eke the, so right now, the score line has fell right into that groove. But I want you to take it out of the groove and move it over about 1/16 of an inch so that this edge up here, see all this right in here? We're gonna trim that away. So just come right on down and stop at your score line there. And take a pair of snips and come in and just take that out. I need new snips because the tips don't snip anymore. So now with that removed, we're gonna switch the fold on that and it's gonna fold inward instead of backward like it was. Burnish that. And that is the fold of our card. So talk about, it's fancy. It allows us to have a card front second card front, like second breakfast, second dinner, and an inside. So we have lots to do. You guys, this is gonna be such a long class. I gotta stop doing this, but it's so fun, right? Okay, all right, moving right along. We're gonna move really fast here. What I want you to do is with this piece here, you are going to take, and right out of the middle, I want you to take your 2 flower dies, the 2 trios like this, just put it here and here and die cut that so that you have 6 of those gold flowers. So you need 6 gold flowers. And let's see, I have mine here. I have a whole bunch of things that we're working with here. Look at all this. This is all this pink and yellow stuff is for this card. Oy, yi, yi, yi. So I'm just gonna get it all out. I'm glad I have it prepped. I will go over it, not to worry. We'll stamp it. So now that I have it all out. So you have 6 of the flowers, okay? And trust me, they're in that pile. So cut out 6 flowers right down the middle. And then we're gonna actually trim this piece. It's right now, I think it's 3 by 6. Yeah, it's 3 by 6, but we're gonna turn this to be 2.5 by 5.5. So let's trim that piece down. So like I say, you've done those flowers right in the middle. So that's no problem. You can take this to 2.5 and 5.5. Just like that. Okay, you could use this for something else if you want. You don't have to. 2.5 by 5.5. And don't let your trimmer go too far. This piece here, which is 2.25 by 6, trim it down to 2.25 by 5.5 so that it layers on top of that gold. So now where you cut those flowers out, that covers that right up, right? So let's go ahead and glue that in place. Okay. I think this piece right here is just kind of like perfect citrus colors. It's just screaming citrus. Okay, so this is ready. Ready? There's that one. And it's going to layer to the front of our card. But before we layer this to the front of our card, we are going to emboss this, just like we did our last card. We're gonna have some pieces hanging out. So, okay, let's just kind of orient ourselves. So here's the top fold of our card, and here's the inside, right? It's this top section that we're going to emboss. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of move this to the back. So I just kind of just flip it over, and we will emboss just like this. Just set that on there. And again, we're gonna be breaking the rule here and going through sideways. So what I want you to do is just be sure that you're going through, that everything's lined up nice and straight, and go slow. If something seems to be hitting, that you're going crooked or something, that you might crack that embossing folder, reverse and realign it. Okay, beautiful. So there's my card front, and then we open. So we're just gonna jam through, and let's add this layer on. We're just gonna kind of get our layers set up so that it actually takes some of these big pieces out of the way. And this is gonna go on the bottom. I'm gonna leave about a ½ inch or so down here. It's already a thick card and we haven't added in all the layers. Nope. Okay, this piece here, it's 4 by 6. Let's just take it to 4 by 5.25. 4 by 5.25. And this one is going to layer. I know it's kind of hard to see, but if here's our kind of funky little sideways L, we're going to layer that one right there like so. Okay. It's fun to flip these papers over and see the other side. It's like, oh yeah, that was a good piece. That was good. So just center this right in there, like so. And that will be ready for second card. This one's ready. Let's just kind of get some things done and out of the way. Kind of get them situated. In your smalls bag, here's that last shape from the nested dies. This is, you know, a nice little banner. But look, this is a double stitched. So it's kind of cool that they gave us a different stitching for each layer there. And what I'm going to do for this one here is I'm going to stamp the word, just the word, whoops, this is Have a Zesty Birthday, we'll get there. This one says, enjoy the sweeter things in life, and I just want the word enjoy. So first off, let me clean my stamp to make sure that I don't accidentally have the wrong colors going on. And I'm going to grab Melon Mambo. I think I said we were done with Melon Mambo. I lied. And you could use a piece of tape if you want, but I'm just inking up the word enjoy. And I hope that I have the whole thing. And I'm just going to take my thumb and just clean that out. And now I'm going to stamp the word enjoy on this little label banner. Just like that. Cute. And you know what? I'm going to stick it on where it goes, just so I don't lose it. For now, what I'm going to do is put a couple dimensionals just kind of up here at the top, because it's going to overlap onto this chevron layer. So this one's just sitting right about there. It's coming together already. Now, it's important that we do this next step so that it has time to dry. We're going to, you have 3 more pieces of paper. You have 2 shimmer white, long live shimmer white. I don't know if you guys are aware, the reason we're not going to be carrying shimmer white any longer is because the vendor that makes the shimmer white is no longer in business. So you have 2 shimmers and 1 basic white. This basic white is smaller. That is for the inside of your card. Take one of the shimmers and on one end, ink up Enjoy the Sweeter Things in Life in Melon Mambo. And let's just stamp that right across the bottom, right along the very bottom, just like that. And now what I want to do is we're going to cut that off. And this is going to be a banner across the inside of the card, or I should say it's on second card. So it's about, it's a little more than a 1/2 inch, but just, you know, eyeball it. We're just making a strip here. And then let's just cut this end off as well, just kind of even them up. Now that will be ready for the inside. Another piece that's done. You can get it out of the way. With this piece here, we are going to do some watercoloring. So I'm just bringing in some scratch paper here. And I'll bring in my rag again and my Stampin' Spritzer. It has water in it, and my water painter, and I have my water cup again here. So I'm just going to clean out my aqua painter, and you could use your aqua painter to paint the whole thing, or you can use your Stampin' Spritzer. And I am going to spritz this off camera just so I don't have water everywhere here. But I'm using my thumb to press down on that spritzer, and I've just spritzed my page here just to speed things along. And now we'll just kind of move the water around, get it good and juicy, get it wet. And I'm going to use crushed curry, give it a squeeze, get lots of ink in there. And you could use a little Melon Mambo if you want to be dangerous and go for some really intense color. Or you could use a little Blushing Bride, but we're just going to do a watercolor wash on this paper here. And just going to start with a little bit of crushed curry and just start pouncing some color. Get it juicier and get it moving. Now switch to, say, I'm going to pull in the Blushing Bride now. And just in those spots where I don't have the curry, I'm just gonna do a little blush. And now I'll switch again to Melon Mambo. Need it more juicy. And just kind of fill in these areas. And you're just creating a piece of paper. It does not need to look super fancy because we're gonna die cut this all out. But if you need more water to really get things moving, you can always blot the water. I'm gonna add just a little bit more curry in here. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do, folks. This was not rocket science. It's not by any means like, ooh, ah, fancy, fancy. But for what we're gonna do, we're gonna be cutting it apart. We're gonna run it through the embossing folder and the die. And so the individual pieces will end up being just kind of pretty like that, okay? So we're gonna set that aside to dry. See where it's kind of, I'm gonna kind of swish the water around. I'm gonna try and bend this the other direction here. All right, set that aside to dry. And I'm gonna close up my ink pads, or at least push them back. Okay, so now that that's done, let's go ahead and start working on some of the stamping for this card. Let's bring in the original here. So here's card front, second card front, and the inside. So let's do this. Let's work in reverse, just because you know I like to do that. Here is our piece of white. This is the one. It is smaller. Make sure you're working with the right piece. So here is the, that's the shimmer white. Here is the basic white, and it's smaller. So grab that smaller piece, and we are going to just really, really lightly, we're gonna take our water painter, okay? And I'm gonna take my crushed curry, and just a teensy bit, just a teeny, teeny bit, I'm just gonna lightly do a little bit of, need more water. Just adding some curry through here. Soften those edges. Okay, just have some fun. So we're gonna let that dry because we'll come in and we'll be stamping some stuff on top, but we need that to be dry. So we'll set that aside for now. It's going in the drying rack with the other piece, right? Now let's move to our second piece of shimmer white, and let's work on our stamping and things. So this time we're kind of stamping grapefruits. I don't know about you guys, but I love the smell of grapefruit. I love it in lotions and soaps and things, but honey, I will never eat it. I think it tastes terrible. So love the smell, hate the flavor. So I've got my large piece here. We're gonna use crushed curry. And we're just gonna do basic old, ink it up, straight down, straight up stamping. So ink the whole image up. Okay. So yeah, we have lemon-shaped grapefruit. That's okay. And we're gonna stamp this way down here in the bottom, just like we did the other one, trying to get maximum space out of this. Push, push, push. So there's that. Now let's work on this piece. Okay, so we had a little bit of a tutorial at the beginning. Yes, mine's cut apart and not in the right spot just yet, on how to mount this stamp. But I'm gonna come back in and put this one in place. Good. We're gonna ink up in Blushing Bride. I know it doesn't look like Blushing Bride, but it is. We're gonna ink up in Blushing Bride. Just pat that, you can go either direction. But fill that image with Blushing Bride. Grab your Melon Mambo and your Melon Mambo blending brush. Bring that out. Just loading it up. And I don't need to worry about offloading because we're going on to a stamp here. But just go ahead and pounce some of that more vibrant color into the blush. Again, I love to add multiple colors into these stamps. I just think it makes them a little bit more interesting. Then turn your image over. And this is the first time we're actually lining up all three pieces. And this is how, like yesterday, I'm like, that's not lining up. It was because I put the stamp on like on top rather than doing it as I showed you earlier. And that was making it a little bit wonky. So here we go. We're gonna hope for the best, right? Ooh. Press, press, press. Beautiful. Oh, I love that we've created our own new color. It's not Blushing Bride, it's not Melon Mambo, it's grapefruit. New color. So there's that. Now I'm gonna do just a rough chop here because this is gonna go through the hybrid folder and the die cut. Okay. And now with this piece here, we're going to stamp some leaves. And we're going to stamp in crushed curry. Yep, these leaves are going to be crushed curry. So here's our leaf image, but we need to clean it. So here goes crushed curry. And I'm going to do one. Just did a little huff on it just to invigorate that color. So there's second generation. And let's do one more, just for fun. There's that. Now we need to do some flowers. And so I'm gonna do the flowers in Melon Mambo, and we'll do that trio flower. And I don't remember, I think we just stamped in blush, so we can go right to, we're gonna do two sets, once, and twice. So all of that gets die cut, okay? Easy enough. I have mine done ahead of time. You don't need to sit and watch that die cut action going on. This needs to be die cut as well, so same drill. Let's go over it one more time. Mine are done, so I'm not gonna run it through the machine, but I am gonna do the prepping, and that is logo side up, open. Blade side up, click it into place to fit around those images. It will kind of lock. Now flip the whole thing over and align your stamped images. See how it is definitely easier when you have all four rather than having just a little piece that you're trying to hold on to. So get those just right. Close the folder. This edge is going in first, one on the bottom, four on top. Okay, and so I have that done. And I have all my leaves cut out, and I have all my gold flowers. We've done all of that, right? What we haven't done is our piece of cardstock here. So this piece isn't dry enough to, it's dry enough to emboss, but I don't think it's dry enough to die cut. But what we would be doing is the same thing. I'm not gonna do it for real, but I'm gonna show you. Logo side up, click it in place. Now I want you to turn this over and you're gonna die cut this, but you wanna die cut to be able to get like this leaf down in here, a couple of these other leaves. So just position it so that you can get that. And so if I have to turn this just a little bit, there we go. That allows me to get that lemon and that leaf. And so that's how that's gonna go through the big shot. So you can see how pretty that's gonna be. But I'll let that paper continue to dry before I actually cut that one. And I'll use the ones that I've done ahead of time. And so let's start to assemble some of this. So let's see here. We have a whole pile of goodies from painted to, you know, die cut. This leaf here is the one that I was mentioning that's in the bottom of the folder right here. So I fussy cut that. So once you die cut the 4 pieces, then I fussy cut that piece right there. Okay, so let's start with this. I have my large piece of grapefruit. And I bring in the original. Gosh, we've got a bazillion pieces, but that's what makes it fun and crazy. It's a Liz class. Okay, so for me, the anchor element right here is this grapefruit. And so I'm just gonna set that one right on there, bring out my dimensionals, and I'll do a couple just to keep it from flattening out. Okay, so this one is just a little off center and hanging over the edge a little bit. Next, I'm gonna use this piece, and this one's gonna kind of angle out that direction. And so I'm gonna put my dimensional here so that I know I don't collide and get lopsided, right there. And then we have back in here, so it's a totally different color, this one is, but that's okay. There's one of my watercolored lemons is right in there. Look how pretty that one is. So fun. So I'm gonna set that there, and this is going to tuck right like that. And we have a lemon wedge. Get over here. Well, it's not a lemon wedge, it's a grapefruit wedge. It's gonna hit right in there. So same drill, I'm gonna put my dimensional on the base rather than on the die cut itself. Right in there. So now we need to add some leaves and have some fun. Leaf, same drill. I'm just gonna put that here. So if you remember, we didn't do it, I didn't show it actually, but these leaves were stamped on our shimmer white, on the rest of this piece of shimmer white. I don't remember where my piece went. Oh, here it is. So right in here. So that's where these leaves are coming from, okay? So I've already die cut those. I kind of like raced through them. This leaf here, this one I'm gonna glue. And it's gonna go, say right about there. Okay? And then this one, we've got another one of the, we'll call it the rabbit ears leaves. Ta-da. It's gonna kind of buddy up with that and kind of live right in, well, I don't want it quite so far in. Right in there. Okay, now we have some gold flowers to add. So here's what I'm gonna do with this gold flower. I'm gonna take my bone folder and I'm just very gently put my bone folder in there, and when you kind of curl your hand, it kind of turns these 5 petals into, you know, it does some magic dimensional for you. Glue that one on right about there. Let that set up, and then once that's set up, we'll add gems to it. Let's do the same thing with this one. Go ahead, and don't do this hard because you don't want to scar the cardstock there. This one's gonna glue on as well, and it's right about there. Kind of let that set up just a little bit. And then same thing on these, whoops, that's not, we want the gold ones. Same thing, I'm just giving them a little curl. See, fun how it just turns it into a 5-petal flower that fast. And these are going to glue, have a couple of these that I'm doing, just kind of low. And this one's, it's kind of like hiding right in here. There's a little bit of gold hiding right there. And here's another gold one. We'll put that in my palm. Same thing. Look at my ink all over my hands. Oops, I didn't mean to drop that in the jar. It makes so much noise. Little glue on there. Oops, that was a lot of glue. Well, it's not going to move, is it? This one's going to just kind of lace right in there. And then I have one more down in here. It looks like I have more leaves on this one. So if you want to cut yourself more leaves when this piece goes through, I don't have one right now, but I will do that. Just because I for time's sake. And my paper's still wet, so it can't really go through just yet. And trying to cut wet paper with scissors, that's gonna be a mess. So let's do this flower. I'm gonna do this flower with a dimensional. And set it right there. Cute. Now I'm gonna put gold sequins in here, folks. So we have the gold from Pastel Adhesive Back Sequins. We'll do a large in the large flower, and a large in this large flower. And then these two, they don't show as much, but like that one doesn't, this one does. On my original, it didn't show at all, but there's that. And we'll tuck one more right there. And so this just needs a little bit of wink for the front and our twine. So our twine for this one is the orange, the paper pumpkin, the pumpkin pie. And let me just kind of run my fingernails over it and hope that it, isn't gonna be wild and crazy and twist on me. Oh yeah, nice. That was good. Okay, so I'm gonna shorten these just a little bit and we'll glue dot the knot. Glue dot the knot, there we go. Add that right to that knot, and then we can reach that in. And then add Wink of Stella, and first card front is done. Okay, and it's gonna just tuck right in there. Just be a nice, happy little addition. There, grab my ends, even them out just a little bit. Whoops. There it is. Now let's get a little bit of wink going. Like, where did I put her? So, super pretty. It's always fun to add a little bit of that. And if you want to just paint here and there, highlight certain things, it's always fun. Maybe just a little bit on this pretty one. I'm going to highlight that prettiness. Okay, I could go forever with Wink of Stella. So there's the first card front. Okay, now let's move into our second layer here. And our second layer, we're going to use of your die cut pieces. So we used a leaf, we used the full lemon, right? And we used a leaf. Now we're going to use the cut fruit pieces for the inside here. And so we're going to face one that way, and this one here, and then here. I'm gonna kind of rough this in for you. And then our greeting is gonna stretch across the top, and then we'll add these pink flowers. Now, I actually glued these because this card is already so puffy. This is a hand deliver. Most of the cards we make in Technique Time are definitely hand deliver. I tell you what I like to do with cards like this is I'll get like a plain gift bag, like craft color or white or maybe a gray. And then what I like to do is kind of tie the card to the bag so that the bag is part of the bow. I'll do some ribbon work and things, but it becomes part of the decor. Or I'll slip it in a cellophane envelope and attach it to the bag that way. That way I'm showing off my artwork skills. Okay, there's that. This is gonna go on with dimensionals. 1, I'm gonna do 3 across the back, 2, 3. And we will set that just right centered over this. And now let's kind of soften things in here with our flowers here. And so these flowers, my original, what I did is I took my water painter and very lightly did a little bit of melon mambo on the inside and a little bit of pumpkin pie. I haven't used pumpkin pie just yet, but we'll open this up. Whoops. Give it a squeeze. Good. That's plenty of pumpkin pie. So I'm going to take some pumpkin pie and just kind of dot. Well, this is too juicy. Hold on. Well, pumpkin pie, just kind of dot it right there in the center. And we'll let these dry. We should have done this ahead of time. Oh, well. We're going to be here all day anyway. We'll let these dry, and then I'm going to brush on just a light little bit of Melon Mambo. We could actually stamp these with the with the little centers that they've given us. That would be fun. Okay, so let these dry. Then we'll come back in and do a little wash of Melon Mambo. But for now, let's look to the inside. And so the inside is not quite dry, but I'm going to go ahead and help it out with my heat tool here. Just give it a little blitz, and hopefully it will be ready to be stamped, because it's still too wet to stamp, and so I want to kind of help it out a little bit. So I'm just going to do it off camera here. I'm trying to get the curl out of it. Okay, that's better. Now I think I can stamp it. I've got a little curl in my paper, but that will go away when we actually glue it to the inside. Speaking of the inside, let's look at and see what we're doing here. We're doing some stamping for sure. So we're going to stamp Have a Zesty Birthday. By the way, this class we use every stamp and every die. So here it goes, right in the center of your watercolor. Okay, lovely. Now I'm going to take pumpkin pie and we're going to stamp the large flower. So we haven't used this large single flower just yet. So we're going to stamp that. Just kind of, we're going to go 1, 2, 3. We're going to kind of work in a triangle and just add some of these flowers. So I'll go 1, and I'm going to twist my hand. So I've twisted the stamp in my hand. Okay, every time I come back to re-ink, I've twisted the stamp 90 degrees because I just don't want them to be the same. And then we'll do a couple up in here and one more there. Okay, so there's the large stamp. Now I did crushed curry with our single eyeball and the double eyeballs. Had to clean them. Okay, so crushed curry just on these insides, and do twist it so it's not the same. Okay, there it is. Cute. But I'm going to add just a few of our pink flowers. And for time's sake, my original, I actually did a little bit of Melon Mambo on these, but I'm just going to do one just for time's sake here. And I want this to be fairly dry. I don't want it to be too juicy, but let me do it on scratch paper here. But just a little bit, just to kind of soften these. Sweet, 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 sweet. There's that. So do that to all of them. Like I say, I'm not going to do it to all of them right now because it's going to take too long. But we're going to put a couple of these flowers in the inside here, and they're just going to glue. So what I'm going to do is just kind of, my glue is getting all goobly, boogery. So we just clean the boogers. So a little dot of glue there, and I know I can add a flower there, there, and there. Now I'll just kind of use my take your pick tool, and there. There. And there. Easy. Get on top of that glue. Okay, and like I say, I'm going to go in and add just a little wash of Melon Mambo to those. But for time's sake, since we haven't even gotten to the third card and we should be done. Okay. A little glue action. Hopefully flatten this out a little bit. The center's right in here, just like so. Take some of that warping out. Yes. Okay, it needs just a little bit more time to set up and dry, but that will take that warping right out. In fact, if you're doing a layer like that, and you've like watercolored something and it's beginning to warp, that's just glue another piece of paper behind it, even if it's only a piece that's slightly smaller than. So, and I've got something unfriendly joining. So we'll just kind of take that away. So there's the inside. Let's quickly add our flowers here and the rest of our gold gems, and this card will be complete. So I'm going to add my flowers just the way I did on the front. On the inside. And that is to do some dots of glue here. Then use my take your pick tool, pick up the flower and just wiggle it right in. I want a small. Rather than like getting all glued on your hands and everything. Oops, that was a lot of glue. That's okay. It's a bigger flower. Yay. We'll set that one right there like that. Let that dry. You have a few extra flowers on hand if you need to tuck them somewhere or add something. But let's finish using up these gold, or maybe some, not all. But I'm going to use some gold sequins here. And I'm going to put 3 on. A large. So these two are going to kind of buddy up. I'm going to put it here, And then we'll do this other small one right up in here. Cool. And there you have it. Our I don't even know what to call this fold, but card front number 2, or second card front, and then there's our inside. So it's just kind of a fun fold using a full sheet of paper and taking out that upper corner. So there you have it. Second one done. Hopefully you were able to follow along since I didn't die cut everything out and had it done ahead of time. But you can always ask me questions and I will happily answer anything that you need. Okay, I'm just going to kind of clear some of these things out of the way so that I can make heads or tails out of what's going on here. All right, our next and last card, is going to be another fun fold. Color-wise, you're going to use Garden Green. We're going to use Pool Party, Blushing Bride, and Garden Green, Pool Party, Blushing Bride, and I think that might be it. But, so I'm just kind of setting and clearing some things out of the way so I can see what the heck I'm doing. I have pads everywhere. Okay, so let's look at our papers. It's the rest of the stack. So we have both of these 2 pieces we are using for this card. We have a belly band. You have several pieces of white and Garden Green and Blushing Bride. So this particular card layout we did in Studio Ink Spots in our stamp camp earlier in the year. But so we're repeating it. Instead of tying it shut, we're using a belly band to hold it shut. So let's begin with prepping our card, not our card, but our DSP. So let's get those cuts done and out of the way because we have several to do. And so the first thing I want to do is with the green. This is my favorite print in this whole thing. I just think this is such a cool piece of paper. We're going to trim this. So this piece in the kit was given to you at 4x6, but we're going to turn this to be 5 1/4. So I want you to trim off 3/4 of an inch. So now save this. We are going to use it for the belly band. Now this piece here, we're gonna turn it back so that it's going vertical, and we're gonna make 2 cuts. So we're gonna have a one cut. Our first cut is at 1 inch. Okay, then we're gonna do another one at 1 inch. Awesome, there we have it. And the last one is gonna be 1.5 inches. And you can set that one aside for something else. So those are the 3 pieces you're gonna need for the card itself. That other 3/4 piece, that is for the belly band. So those 3 pieces. Now we're gonna do something very similar with this one. We're gonna start the same way. We're gonna cut this down to 5 1/4. So take off that 3/4 of an inch and rotate it back so that it's vertical. And we're going to do 1 inch, 1 inch, and this time 2 inch, okay? So we have 2 1 inch and 1 2 inch. So 1 inch, 1 inch, and now we have 2 left over. So those are our 3 pieces for that, okay? And the rest of this is stamping. So we have a lot of stamping to do, all these pieces. These 2 pieces, you have one that's, what is this, 2.5 wide? No, I think it's 2 1/4 by 5 1/4, 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. These 2 pieces we're gonna do some stamping on. So let's have some fun stamping this. And so let's stamp this piece. So this is why I cut my first image, that main image, why I cut it apart was so that I had access to this little wedge piece. I'm like, where did it go? Nope, this isn't the right piece. Where's my other big stamp? Oh, I've lost it. I'm losing. Oh, here, you guys, you know what? It was like right there. This piece here, this is why I trimmed this off and made this its own, why I made it, you know, I wanted this individual piece so that I could make backgrounds with it because I like this little wedge piece. So have your cleanup pad ready. You need all 3 colors of ink pads ready to go. So you have Pool Party, we have Blushing Bride, and we have Garden Green. For this pattern here that we're going to be stamping, you are going to, every time we stamp the Garden Green, we're going to be stamping off, okay? So just know that. I'm going to start with Blushing Bride. So my first little wedge here, so I'm just creating my own background paper. My first little wedge is going to go, you know what? I'm going to make this easier. So you know where that first wedge goes? We're going to stamp Enjoy the Sweeter Things in Life. We're going to stamp that first. Then it's more easily, it's easier to see where that first wedge is going to go. So clean your stamp, ink it up in full strength Garden Green. This is full strength Garden Green. Okay, and this is going to go just right across the bottom. And once this is in place, now I can easily see where this wedge is going to go. So this is full strength Blushing Bride. And it's going to come just kind of right over the TER and the TH. And just pick an angle, and then once you have the angle that you like, everything else is going to take that angle. So I'm pretty much at a 45. Without re-inking this, I'm going to rotate it so that it's upside down and just kind of stamp it right there. And I'll pick this up and show it to you because that's really light, but that's okay. That's exactly how mine is, my original. Now I'm going to clean my stamp, and we're going to switch colors, and we're going to go to Pool Party. So Pool Party, and this one's going to be upside down. And so here's that one. So I'm going to stamp this row, and it's just going to be next to that. And now I'm going to flip it upside down, and I'm trying to maintain that same angle, and it's right there. Hopefully you can see that. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Oh, you know what? I just touched it, and now I see all the comments. I was going to, oh my goodness. So I'm hoping you've been answering one another. As I went to zoom in, I'm like, oh, that's how you see the comments. But now they've gone away again. Somebody help me out with YouTube. Okay, I'm still sticking with Pool Party here. And I'm going to do a full strength right here. So sorry I didn't see your question there. It'll be nice to go back to Facebook and be normal. So there's my Pool Party. And now I'm going to switch colors. Give it a clean. We're going to Garden Green. Now remember, when we're using Garden Green, we're stamping off because it would be way too dark. So stamp that off. And we're just going to start filling these spaces in. So here's Garden Green, stamped off. And I'm going to rotate it and stamp it one more time right there. Okay. Still Garden Green. Ink it up, stamp it off. And let's do another one right about here. And we'll twist it 90 degrees, or 180 degrees rather, and right there. So isn't it a fun, I did this on another project using like, I used seafoam and I don't remember, I think Flirty Flamingo, some other colors. It was really a fun little background. Okay, here is Blushing Bride, going back to our original color. So I'm just finishing this row off. And give it a clean. And we'll do it 2 more times with Pool Party. Pool Party full strength, and then Pool Party stamped off. So we're just kind of finishing this last row, and we'll rotate. There it is. Fun. That's kind of a different little background, but I like doing things. Find a stamp in the set that catches your eye, that motivates you, and create with it. That's why I cut this apart, was to be able to do that. Because I was doing this and I was using the full stamp and it was too hard that way. Okay, so I am gonna put this back on the bigger block here. So it's a $6 million stamp. We can rebuild it. You're aging yourself, girl, when you start talking $6 million man. Okay. The single flower stamp, I'm going to give it a clean because it has orange on it. And we're going to use Blushing Bride. And I'm going to stamp just a few flowers on here, but I'm going to ink these off. So stamp off and give yourself a flower there. Just kind of overlap. Stamp off. And we're going to fill in that spot right there. Ink up. Stamp off, making sure you've twisted this stamp each time and just kind of add some in there. So we're just kind of breaking that up, adding a little bit more color there. So you can see those. Okay, I'm gonna zoom back out. Whoops, that zoom in. There we go. Okay, so now let's do a little bit of splattering on this. We're gonna splatter with Pool Party, just to soften all of these edges, or these, you know, this white, just lightly. And I'm also going to splatter with just a tiny, I'm gonna use my Bermuda. I know it's like, but just kind of pull back. You could use Garden Green. But just to get that second color in there. I do now have the Bubble Bath light pink, but that was before this class was designed. Okay, so just a little splatter action in there just to kind of soften things. And now that piece is done. So that had a lot of stamping. Now the other piece of white that is narrower, this piece of white, we're gonna do some more stamping as well. And so we're gonna stamp the Sending You a Big Squeeze in Garden Green, but we'll clean it. So Sending You a Big Squeeze, I just inked it up in my Garden Green, and this will be full strength. And just come down a little ways, right about like that. Now let's go back to, not this stamp, let's do the trio. This trio image, and I'm gonna clean it off. Blushing Bride. Blushing Bride, I'm gonna do some there, and a little bit more right there. And I'm gonna sneak a couple this direction. And let's turn this, just have some fun. We're just kind of filling in this top. Just turn it and fill it in however you like. That's good. Now let's put green centers. This is the card that has all the green centers. So clean that. Let's take the duos here, pop them in there. Ta-da. A couple more here. And here. And now we'll do the single. And this time I'm not moving my stamp, I'm rotating the paper because again, I don't want this, even though it's pretty subtle, I still don't want it ever in the same direction because that's just not how nature works. That is all the stamping for the inside. We'll do the same little bit of splattering just to kind of carry that from the front to the inside. Okay, so a second ago it splattered like crazy and now it doesn't go at all. So that was a little pool party. Here's a little Bermuda. Just kind of doing that one pretty light. Okay, so set these two aside. That is done. Now let's work on our big stamping. We have some big stamping to do. So the big stamping for this is we're going to stamp our focal image. To me, it's this one right here. We're going to ink this one up in green. Whoops, it had yellow on it. That was stupid. I thought it was clean. Whoops, sorry folks, didn't mean to hit that. So ink it up in the garden green. Because it's a large stamp, I'm going to go ahead and just turn it over on its back. And stamp this down in the corner. There's that one. And we're gonna do half of it again. So I was gonna clean it, but I want the, let's see, what piece do I want here? I definitely want the wedge again, and I think I want the half. We'll call it the half. Yeah, that's what I want again. So we're gonna do those two again. Okay, so I've just inked up this one and this one. Yeah, I've got a little there. Turn your paper so that you can set this one on here. Cool. Yeah, we got a little extra. That's okay. Now bring in the fruit. So there's the rind. Here's the fruit. We're going to ink up. Well, first we're going to clean up. We're going to ink up in Pool Party. Again, creating your own custom color. Ink up in Pool Party. Put the stamp on its back and grab your dark green blending brush and your garden green. And we're just going to kind of pounce a little color, not a ton, because we want some of that Pool Party to peek through. You know, just have some fun. And however it turns out, that's perfect. So we'll take this, line that up, stamp it once. Cool, cool, cool. It's so interesting that they're so different every time. Cleaning that. We'll go to Pool Party and let's just get these two, the two smaller pieces. And I think I'm gonna go a little heavier with my garden green this time. Not covering all that blue, or that Pool Party with that bluer tone. Okay, and there is that. Oh, see, I like this. This one's getting a little purple action, so I really like those two. So these are gonna go through and you're gonna die cut them with the hybrid folder and the die cut at the exact same time. Okay, so what you'll probably want to do is chop these in half. Like that. That way you can definitely, get them through the machine. Okay, so I've done that ahead of time. Again, we'll be here till midnight. We're already going to be here until 2 o'clock. No, I don't think it'll be 2 o'clock, but It's going to be pretty close. Okay, so that's some of the stamping. Now on this one, we have some more stamping to do. And so for this one, we're going to have fun. We're going to make some leaves. So ink up in Pool Party. And with your Garden Green, oh man, I just put my Garden Green blending brush in Pool Party. That's going to be interesting. Just kind of tap your Pool Party leaves here. And stamp. And we are going to need 3 sets of leaves. Okay, so let's see. What damage did I do putting my green blending brush right in there? Okay, we'll tap this again. Gonna change it up so we get different looking leaves. And now maybe this last one, we're just gonna go straight Garden Green. The name of the game is, so this one's got more Pool Parties showing through, is just vary them so they're not all exactly the same, okay? Let's see, now we have a bunch of flowers. This is the card where we need 4 sets of flowers, not the first card. I was like, wow, how come I'm running out of space? Okay, 4 sets of flowers here. And these are gonna be stamped in Blushing Bride. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And do stamp the centers with Garden Green. Yeah, remember the first card? I'm like, oh, I forgot to put the centers in. Well, no, I didn't. They weren't supposed to be there. But just keep rotating that paper or rotate the stamp. Get your centers in. Now this one, you're not going to rotate. You're just going to do them. Okay, and then what you're gonna need to do, folks, is die cut all of this stuff out. And I have mine done, or we would definitely, you know, we'd be at the 4 o'clock range. Okay, so with all of this die cut, with all of these die cut pieces, you have what you need to assemble your card. And so I have mine here. Let me just pull these all out. Okay, so you should have a whole bunch of flowers, 3 sets of leaves, and you should have a set and a half, we'll call it a set and a half, of the fruit. All right, let's begin to assemble. I am going to close some of these ink pads because we're done with ink. I'm sorry I'm not seeing comments. They just don't show. It's like they're teeny tiny and they fade in and then they fade out, and they're only there for about 5 seconds, it seems like. Okay, so this first piece, this smaller piece of Garden Green, this is the perfect layer for this, okay? And so we're gonna glue this to this layer here. Ta-da! Easy enough. And while we're working on this layer, okay, we're going to add some of our flowers here. We're going to add 4 of the small little flowers. And I'm going to do them just the way I did the other ones. So I'm just going to do a dab of glue there, a little dot of glue there. We'll glue right there. So these 2 down here, and then we'll do a couple more up above. So I'm going to do one right about there and another one down here on the green. And so you might be thinking, gosh, those are in kind of weird spots. But once we get the belly band on, they kind of coordinate and correlate with that. Okay, take your pick tool to just pick all these up and set these down, being sure that they're, never in the same orientation. Okay, so that's ready. And let's look at our sequins here. So we're going to use the blue sequins on this card, and we're going to do a bunch of them. So I'm going to do a single large, and it's going to be just kind of right up in here, up in here, up in here. And we'll do a small. You can do these however you want, but it's going to go here. These do kind of play off of the belly band. And one more small right about here. Okay, so I know they seem like they're in line, but 1, 2, 3, then we have that belly band to break all of this up. Okay, so that's that. Let's go to the Blushing Bride piece here. Let's finish the scoring. I've started it for you with those 2 folds, okay? But if you're starting from scratch, your first one's gonna go back, so it's going to be a valley fold. Then you're gonna have a mountain fold, and I have folded that. Now let's just mirror image. This will be a mountain fold. And then your last one is a valley fold. Okay, so we've got something that looks like that. So let's finish gluing the pieces to this. And we're not gonna glue anything on this first section. This second section, look at all this stack of stuff we have over here. Total complete mayhem. Nope, that's our belly band piece. You need the 1-inch strip. So we have a 1-inch strip, and we'll just rough this in. Then we have our stamped piece. Then we're going to do our other 1-inch strip, and then our 1.5-inch strip. And notice I'm trying to maintain the paper so that my lines somewhat line up, okay? So let's glue these in place. Let me kind of move these, I'm gonna slide them just a little bit out of the way. Okay. So if you can't totally remember how your piece goes together, you could actually use the back and put it back together so that they're in the right order. So center this one, easy enough. Come on, wiggle over. I kind of got it lopsided. Then the second one. Okay. That one right here. Now our stamped piece. Okay. Like that. And then we'll do one last one right in here. Just like, and this layer is complete. Kind of let that glue set up. Now let's take a look at our remaining pieces. Okay, kind of put all my flowers and things in a pile. Get them in one place. And let's see here. Okay, so these are our last 3 pieces of DSP. And this is what we're gonna do. So we have a 1/4 sheet of garden green. This 1/4 sheet of garden green is going to receive these 2 1-inch strips. So we have a 1-inch strip there and another one right there. So you're just going to give yourself an even border on top, side, and bottom. It's as if it was like because they're 5 1/4 inch tall. So it's going to be just kind of your classic layer. So just an even border, top, side, and bottom. And then we'll do the same thing on this left side. Whoops. Okay, she's gluing her own hand. I'm just going to wipe that glue right there. We're going to cover that up in just a second here. But same drill. Top, side, and bottom. Now let's take this piece here and we'll kind of close it. We're going to do glue just in this center section. So this is a pattern that I found from on Lisa Curcio's. Oh, this is hard finding the center though. I found it on her blog, her website. I don't remember what it's called. Something about vertical panel. I slightly altered her pattern, but not by much. Okay, so there's that. So that one's glued on center so that it's opening this way. And so we've kind of covered our seam there and covered our seam there. Now, what we're going to do is this piece here, okay, I want you to flip it over, and this is going to glue there, okay? So let's make sure it's on the correct side. So here's our greeting is at the bottom. I flipped it over, greeting is still at the bottom. Now this piece is going to glue to the left side. Oh boy, I'm out of glue. Not the time to run out of glue. Okay, so, and that's not working. Come on. Got to get enough going here. Okay. It's like a lot of glue. You don't need quite that much. Okay. Yeah, that piece isn't going anywhere. So it's on the left side. Okay. Now, this piece here is going to glue to the front. So this piece is going to glue to the front of this. And this is where I altered the pattern just a little bit. To make it easy to put on, you're going to line it up just like that. So you don't have to go like hang any over or anything. It just lines up like so. So that when you close this, all of the pink is hidden. And it's kind of like that first card where we had that surprise of Bermuda Bay on the inside. This one is the surprise of Blushing Bride on the inside. Oh, come on. Ugh. And you could turn this into a pocket if you wanted, but I didn't. But move your glue around better than what I just did. I was just kind of working on an empty. Okay, getting close, getting close. So there's that, and wiggle around. That's the nice thing about the green cap glue. You can wiggle around to get it just in the right spot. Okay, so while we're finishing things here, let's finish the inside. So we have a couple things to finish on the inside. So the inside has some flowers set up in here, and so I'm going to use some mini dimensionals, and I'll just pull up a flower here, and it's going to kind of just tuck right in there. Tuck, place right in there. Another, so this is a small flower, and I've put a mini on the back of it, and so it's going to buddy up. These two are going to buddy, and then I'm going to do one more small. And it's also on with a dimensional, I see. I'm into puffy cards. I'm into extra postage. Yeah, you think I had stock in the post office. And so that one's gonna go just kind of, oh, let me lower it just a skosh. Right there. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now this panel right here, we're gonna do a little decor there. So let's do it while we're here. And we're gonna use one of our halves, okay? One of our, I don't know what fruit this is because it's blue and green. It's some funky lime. So I'm going to put a dimensional in the center there and just set it. Now make sure your dimensional isn't on the fold. You can be over the fold, but you kind of want to be right about there. And now let's do another lime wedge. And again, I'm going to put my dimensional. In fact, I'm going to lift this one up just a little bit and tuck it under. Okay, there you have it. This one, you want to rotate it such that it's not going to show out that side. You might need a little glue under there, but you know my glue situation sucks right about now. Take one of your leaves, put a mini on there, and like so. And we're going to do a mini on this as well, but do your mini not on the flower, do it on the leaf so that it doesn't get lopsided. And we'll glue one last right here. Yeah, right, we're gonna glue. And take your pick tool, love it. And there you go. Okay, kind of give that a little press down. So there's our center. But while we're here, let's throw some, not dimensionals, but some of our sequins on. And so I'm going to do a couple in here. I'm going to do a large. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of tuck it behind this lime wedge. And here's a small. And we'll tuck this one right up in there. Okay, we're in the home stretch here, folks. We just need to make our belly band. So this closes like so. So this one's gonna shut, then this one goes on top, okay? Fun times. This is that 3/4 inch strip that we had at the very beginning. We're gonna cut it in half. Just chop it in half. Bring out your last piece from your kit. And on the shorter end here, we're gonna glue these. Oh goodness. Come on. It's like running out of gas. I need just enough to get myself across the, okay, so I'm gonna open this so you can see. So I'm putting one, I'm just giving myself an even border on that edge and an even border on this edge. And you can see it just wasn't quite long enough to stretch. So that's why we had to separate it just a little bit. I needed to eke it out just a little bit more than what we had, because the belly band needs to go all the way around the card. Okay, so there's that. And now let's bring this around our card. Close everything. Oops, she's got glue smashing out. Now what I'm gonna do is kind of eyeball this, and maybe even, I'm just gonna maybe take my hobby blade and kind of sketch, or you could use a pencil or a hobby blade, but let me just kind of open things here. I'm just kind of, I need to indicate where I want that to score. So just kind of draw a little line there. So I drew a teeny, you can't even see it, I just kind of scratched a line in there, but it allowed me to bring this around, and then we'll glue that belly band. So you have a tiny little tab there. I was trying to hide it so it wasn't real in your face, but you want to do it with your belly band around the card because you don't want it so tight that you can't get it on and off. So you've got a little extra give in there. Well, let's see if she can get enough glue out. And there we have it. Okay, folks, so we're gonna be, instead of me, I was thinking, oh man, we're gonna be like an hour overtime. We're only gonna be about 35 minutes overtime because we're almost done here. I'm just gonna wait for that to set up for a second. And now with these remaining pieces here, we're going to decorate our belly band. So let me bring the belly band in so you can see. So we have a couple flowers on it, we have a couple leaves, and then we have all of the fruit. So let's start with, I'm always going to start with my anchor piece, and for me it's that center one. We'll put that on with a dimensional. Now this, you really need to watch where your dimensionals are going. I put it on the center, and this is kind of like right dead center of that belly band. So now that funny little cut has gone away, right? Now I'm going to put my dimensionals on the belly band itself, so that I don't have things getting lopsided and they're not showing, because we definitely don't want them to show on the back side, right? Okay, so this is the half fruit, and I'm going to tuck it underneath, right like that. And I'm going to put another dimensional in here. I'm going to put another one like right there, because I don't want it to show. Okay, but I need one for this lime here. This one's going to kind of sit like that. And then this lime is going to go on top. So I think I'm going to do one more little mini right there, just enough to hold that in place, since that lime is kind of using some of that dimensional. And I'm out of glue. It's a little funny. I'm going to turn this way. There we go. Now have some leaf action in here. I'm going to do the lighter one on top. Do it with a oh man, tons of glue came out. Okay, way more glue than what I need. So I'm going to borrow some of it there, and then I'm just going to take a piece of scratch paper and remove some of that because we don't need that much glue. Now lift this up and just kind of tuck that under and give it a press until it engages. Okay, There's that one. And we'll do this one right in here. Tuck that. Give it a press until it kind of engages and holds on to something. And now we'll add our last flowers. There's my other large. I'm like, hey, where did it go? So this one, I'm gonna set this one on with a dimensional. Again, I'm gonna put the dimensional on here so that I have it where I know it's not gonna get cattywampus. So we're gonna do one there. And then I'm gonna do one last dimensional and I'm gonna kind of tuck it. It's gonna be in there. I don't want it to show from behind, so I'm tucking it far enough in, but that's gonna hold this last flower here. Okay, give them a little curl. There's that flower. And I forgot to put the twine in. What else is new? So I'm just gonna actually lift this one up. The twine was supposed to go underneath there, but let's go ahead and let's kind of take all the craziness out by running it through our fingernails. Tie a bow. Okay. Wow, that's really uneven. I'm gonna have to do it again because I didn't have any length left on the one side for a tail. Okay, this is better. This is gonna tuck under. So glue dot on the knot. And we'll even up the ends. Yes, everything's twisted right now, but I'll fix it once. I'll have the fruit actually hold it in place and tell it who's boss. So we'll glue dot the knot. I'm excited. One of the things at the top of my list for the new catalog, which I would love to know what's on your guys' list, things that you like saw that you wanted to have. The new adapter or the new tool to go on your Take Your Pick tool, which is a hobby blade. Yeah, you know how much I use a hobby blade. Okay, so I'm gonna just lift this up and we'll just tuck this in here. Give that glue dot a little push and then fluff your twine the way you like it. That looks good. And last but not least is a little wink. Okay, let me kind of primer, get her going here. Get it, come on. It's not quite juicy, but we'll go ahead and give a nice finishing splatter to the whole thing. It's kind of putting on, like putting on your lipstick, right? And we'll give these a little paint as well, because we can. And I'll even do these that are inside here. And this one as well. And there you have it, folks. Oh, we made it. I was 2 minutes off. I'd say we've been 35 minutes over time. We're 33 minutes over time. So here is our vertical panel fold. I'll have to look and see what Lisa Curcio calls it, but it's a beautiful fold and I'm grateful to her for it. Okay, so we have that there. I got glue, so once that dries, so I must have got glue, as I was putting that leaf on, I got glue on my card. So there's that one. Enjoy the sweeter things in life, sending you a big squeeze. Cute, cute, cute. So we have that one. And then we also did our card, second card. And then we have our Ode to Tammy Hewlett and our lime and our coconuts card. So I hope you have enjoyed today's crazy class, extra long. Maybe next time I'll make it so it's not quite so long. Thanks for being here. I will see you guys next week to upstyle your paper pumpkin, and we'll be back on the Seeing Ink Spots page, hopefully, and have a good one. Oh, join me tomorrow night. We'll make these cards again. Join me tomorrow night, 6:30 Mountain Time in the Zoom room. Same number as always, 901-771-5257. Password is Ink Spots in all caps. By the way, this class, while it's on YouTube, it will be unlisted. And so the only way you'll be able to find it is through the Seeing Ink Spots Backstage Pass group. I will put the link there so that you can get to it. Okay, take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.